Hi everybody, my name is Alexis. I'm a therapeutic reflexologist and I've been practicing for 9 years. Today I'd like to share with you how the basic principles of reflexology can assist you at home for your family and friends in maintaining a level of health. This first DVD will focus on what reflexology is and will demonstrate some basic foot massage techniques. Before we start with the actual demonstration of the foot massage techniques, let's take a look at the history of reflexology as well as what the benefits of reflexology are. Reflexology as a therapy has both ancient origins as well as more recent origins. The ancient history of reflexology dates back as far as 5,000 years before Christ. The most commonly used evidence for reflexology having been practiced is found in the Egyptian tombs of an Egyptian physician, and that dates as far back as 2,500 years. Our more recent history of reflexology, in terms of how we understand reflexology today, comes from the work of Dr. William Fitzgerald. He developed a theory known as zone therapy, where he divided the body into 10 longitudinal zones, finding corresponding links within each zone to various body parts. From his work, it was Eunice Ingham who developed reflexology as we know today. She has mapped out specific areas of our bodies that are found on the soles of our feet, hands and ears. And it is from these origins that most people understand reflexology. In describing specifically what reflexology is, the basic premise suggests that the organs of our body are reflected in specific areas known as reflexes on the soles of the feet, the palms of the hands, and even on our ears. By using specific pressure and massage techniques on these reflexes, the natural healing capacity of the body is promoted. The body is then brought into a state of homeostasis or balance. Reflexology is therefore a very safe, non-invasive treatment that can be offered to most people. The benefits of reflexology are numerous. Reflexology fosters a very deep relaxation in the body, and it is through this deep relaxation that many of the functions are able to be carried out more effectively. We find through regular massage of the feet and hands that circulation is improved through increased oxygen levels. Elimination of wastes and toxins in the body is far more effective, and the stress relief offered to the body results in increased immunity for each person. While reflexology is safe for most people, it would be wise to exercise caution under the following circumstances: pregnancy, cancers, deep vein thrombosis, and any chronic medical conditions that first need consultation with a medical healthcare professional. In understanding how the parts of the body are reflected on the soles of the feet, we divide the feet into simple areas: the toes, the ball of the foot, the instep, and the heel. The toes of the feet represent the head and neck areas. This includes all the eyes, nose, mouth, ears, throat, and sinuses. The ball of the feet represents your chest cavity. This houses your lungs, your heart, your thyroid and parathyroid. The instep is largely responsible for all your digestive functions, and it is in the instep that we find the reflexes of the liver, stomach, pancreas, spleen, small intestine, colon, as well as the kidney and the bladder. Finally, the heel of the foot represents the reproductive area, and it is in this area that we find the ovaries and uterus for women, and the prostate and testes for men. Traveling up the outside of the foot, we find the joints of the body. At the bottom, the ankle, hip, elbow, and shoulder. On the inside of the foot is the spine. Again, running from the bottom of the spine up to the neck, which ends at the top of the big toe. On the top of the foot, we find the lymphatic area and specific points for circulation. Before I show you the foot massage sequence, I'd like to share with you some basic massage techniques that will be used throughout the massage. I have divided these into relaxation techniques and very specific techniques used for reflex points. Starting with the ones that are used on specific areas, I'd like to show you what's called the rotating thumb technique. Bending your thumb at its first knuckle, push the pad of the thumb into the reflex area you will be working and make tiny circles without lifting the thumb off the foot. What's very important with this technique is that your supporting hand is holding the foot behind where you are working. So one would gently continue small circular movements over the area that's being worked. A second technique used, which can be used in place of the rotating thumb, is a thumb walk. The easiest way is for me just to demonstrate this, is just to look. One applies a small pressure and then releases the thumb while moving it. It creates that motion. Once you've practiced this movement, you will find that you can perform it more quickly. It's good to practice both techniques as it creates less strain on the muscles of your thumb. One can also use the fingers for similar techniques. As shown with the thumb rotation, one can use the index finger. Very often this is on the top of the foot where it's not as fleshy. One uses the index finger to also create small circular movements. The middle finger is pitched on top to provide extra pressure. And again, you can see my supporting hand is underneath, ensuring that the foot is held firmly. Similarly, the finger can also be used to glide or to walk up the foot. That would be that same walking technique where one applies pressure and releases, moving the direction, and speeds it up with comfort. Gliding happens when one has a lot of lotion or cream on the skin. It's very easy to just glide the thumb or the finger across the reflex that is being worked. These techniques all ensure that your hands are well cared for while you are doing any kind of massage treatment. The last of the specific massage techniques that I'd like to show you is used on the toes specifically. It is called a coin rub. If you imagine holding a coin between your index finger and your thumb and rubbing it, that is what one does. So if I can show you, one would hold either side of the toe that one is working and rub gently up, working from the base of the toe to the top of the toe. In this movement, because there is a finger on either side of the toe, the foot is generally quite well supported, and the supporting hand can merely rest on the base of the foot. In demonstrating the relaxation techniques, it's important for you to know that these are techniques that can be used at any point in the sequence. I will demonstrate where they are specifically needed, but if a client needs some extra relaxation or feels a bit of discomfort, these techniques can be used to relax the foot. The first one is using the fingers and palm of the hand. It is a gliding, stroking movement across the top of the foot. What's lovely with the relaxation techniques is that they can be done for a lengthy period of time. And in fact, the longer they are done, the more relaxing the benefits are for the recipient. The same gliding and stroking technique can be used in the other direction on the feet, going up the feet and down the feet. It's a very gentle, slow movement. One can work hands together in the same direction or even alternate, one up and one down. And a third relaxation technique that is very important to use at some points in the sequence is called kneading. Kneading uses the fist of the hand and only on the cushion of the feet, on the balls and the heel. One would not knead on the bony parts of the hand. Here again, the support of the foot with the second hand, the non-working hand, is very important, as that is what creates the correct pressure. One can gently knead the fleshy parts of the foot for as long as is comfortable. In kneading the heel, the supporting hand can lift the heel and then perform the kneading. I do find that kneading the heel, I use my knuckles more than I do my fist. And that really gets a good deep massage into the reproductive area. Once we start the demonstration of the sequence, I will make use of oils. A good massage oil can be used, or a lotion. It just allows for those relaxation techniques to be smoother and gentler on the recipient's foot. Before we even begin to demonstrate the foot massage sequence, it's important to ensure that the recipient is comfortable. The knee must be supported by a cushion or pillow, the foot must feel comfortable, and the heart must be above the feet. We will begin the foot sequence with a relaxation, then work all the reflex points according to the mapping that I showed you previously, and we will again end with a relaxation. I like to use oil in order to ensure that the massage is comfortable. One can also use creams or lotions that you have available in your home. Rub the oil into your hands to make it warm and connect with your foot. I rub the oil gently on just to ensure that the foot is well covered. To begin the relaxation of the foot, we hold with the left hand the heel, and the right hand holds the top of the foot and brings it forward. We gently push back with the palm on the ball of the foot. This should feel comfortable for the recipient and should not cause any extra strain or pressure. Once one has stretched the foot forward and backward 3 or 4 times, we can change our hands. And now, holding the ball of the foot with the left hand, we are going to perform circular movements with the ankle. The bottom right hand nearly holds the heel. These circular movements can again be done 5, 6, 7 times in one direction, and then one can change directions. This really helps the foot to relax and the recipient to begin to calm and enjoy the experience. Continuing with the relaxation, we can bring our left hand on top across the ankle of the foot. Holding the ball of the foot with the other hand, we will again rotate. These relaxation techniques aim to really relax the ankle muscles. A lot of the flow of energy and circulation through the body is enhanced if that is relaxed. Similarly, one can do this 5 or 6 times each way. We will then move our hand to the heel. Holding the ball of the foot with the left hand, we again rotate. Having relaxed the ankle of the foot now, we will hold the heel with the left hand, and using the coin rub technique, we will run our fingers up the back of the shin. One can go up about 15 centimeters, 2 or 3 times. Taking the fingers of the hand, one can gently rub the back of the leg. If this feels comfortable, you can rotate hands and allow the other hand to also do some of the work. We will now simply stretch our fingers and run them down the back of the shin onto the heel, alternating the hands as we do this. Moving on to the middle part of the foot, we are going to practice some of those gliding movements that I showed you. Rubbing the fingers across the top of the feet, the thumbs remain relaxed. The work of this movement comes across the top of the foot. And one can move up and down gently, making sure the entire top surface of the foot is massaged. Being a relaxation technique, the longer one does this, the better the benefit for the recipient. It really helps to stretch and loosen the metatarsals, and these long bones that run down the foot. We will now move into relaxing the top part of the foot. The first technique requires that you place your left hand on top of the foot with a fist against the ball of the foot. You are going to push with the right hand, the ball, and squeeze gently coming back with the left hand. So it's a very gentle flowing movement with a push and a squeeze, and a push and a squeeze. Push, squeeze. All of these relaxation techniques can be performed 5 or 6 times. Once that has been done, we're going to continue to loosen the tension between the bones of the feet by holding where we feel the bones of each toe. And we're going to just jiggle up and down. Very important that your thumb and your fingers are opposite each other and holding that foot. Then move on to the next bone. While you're doing this, you will really feel that you are getting into the ball of the foot and loosening all that tension. One can work from right to left and again from left to right. Very good technique is then just to rub gently, holding the palm of the hand against the ball sides of the feet. One shakes and loosens that foot. This is a lovely technique to use anywhere in the sequence. The same idea is then repeated at the ankle bone. One places the dip in the palm against the ankle bone on either side of the foot and gives it a good shake. If your recipient is relaxed, it will wobble comfortably. And gently stroking up the foot, we are now going to relax the toes. Taking each toe between the 2 fingers and the thumb, one is going to pull gently up and rotate. Again, please notice that my supporting hand is very firmly holding the ball of the foot. One can rotate clockwise or anti-clockwise, or both. And so you progress through each toe. Pull gently up and rotate. Third toe, pull it up, rotate anti-clockwise or clockwise. When one comes to the 3rd and 4th toes, we can swap our hands to make it easier to access those 2 toes. Same technique is used. 2 fingers and a thumb. Pull the toe up and rotate. And finally the baby toe, pull it up and rotate. The foot should now be relaxed and ready to have its reflex points stimulated. While we begin to prepare in our mind what that next step is, it can always be very useful just to glide the hands up the feet in a continuation of the relaxing motion. The foot is relaxed and ready to have its reflex specifically stimulated. We will begin with the head and neck areas, holding the toe between the thumb and fingers. We are going to use our left finger and the rotating thumb technique to stimulate the top of the toes. The top of the toes represent our sinuses. One can do 3 or 4 little circles covering the top. Moving through all 5 toes, one continues with that same technique, remembering all the time to support the toe with the fingers and the thumb. One doesn't want to have a wobbly toe to work on. Very important to support the toe and work the sinuses. Again, one can change hands for ease and perform the rotating thumb technique on the top of the toes. With the sinuses now having been worked, we will return to the big toe and work the entire toe pad using the rotating thumb technique. My 2 fingers support the back of the thumb and I do small rotations across the pad of the toe. This is stimulating the brain and all the glands and hormone functionings that occur in the head. The pressure that one uses needs to be comfortable for the recipient. It needs to be firm. It is not a tickle sensation. Moving on to the second toe, one goes to the cushions first of each toe, working small rotations along the toe pads, and then coming down the neck of each toe. These are our eyes that we are stimulating. And so one continues through each of the toes, ensuring that the pad is well stimulated and not forgetting the necks of each toe. And these represent our ears and our eyes. Quite important that the supporting hand always makes contact with the foot. If the recipient does jump a little, that would suggest that there is discomfort and one needs to reduce the pressure slightly. Because our head controls our bodies, it's important to make sure that our toes are all fully worked. And so we will again revisit the sides of the toes with the coin rub technique, ensuring that we go up from the base of each toe neck to the top. We coin rub the sides of the toes. This ensures that every aspect of our head gets a good stimulation. If your fingers do feel a bit of strain, one can always swap hands and repeat that. Once we have done the sides of the toes once or twice, we can then work on the top of the toes, which haven't yet received much attention. Bending the foot slightly forward, again one uses the rotating thumb technique to work on the top of each toe. I find about 3 small movements normally covers the toenails. Again, you will notice my supporting hand is holding the ball of the foot quite firmly. head and neck have now been well stimulated. What remains is what's called the eustachian tube. The eustachian tube looks after all our sinuses and connects our ears, nose and throat. Holding the foot at the ball with the back of one's fingers, one is going to use again the rotating thumb technique and work along the top of the ball of the foot, right at the base of all the toe necks. My supporting hand is providing pressure against the working thumb. The lymph is a very important part to stimulate in reflexology and is very often done at the beginning and the end of treatments. Having done the eustachian tube, we now move to that lymph area on top of the feet, and using the finger rotation, we will work in between the metatarsal bones of the foot. Quite important that the pressure here is comfortable for the recipient, and that one is not working on top of the bones but in between the bones. If one finds that difficult to locate, you can place your finger at the base of the toe neck and run it down the foot and then work back. This can be a sensitive area for a lot of people, so please check with your recipient that it is comfortable. Okay, we will now move on to stimulating the reflex area of the chest, beginning again with that hold on the back of the fingers and the supporting hand behind the foot. We are going to thumb rotate across the entire ball of the foot. Small circular movements, not lifting the thumb until one has completed the circular movement. For some people who find the thumb rotation quite heavy going on the thumb muscles, one can also use the thumb walk or a thumb glide. I will show that to you now. Thumb walk would be like this, across the entire area, and a thumb glide would be a gentle rubbing. If people have very sensitive feet, this is a better technique to use, as the rotation can be quite sensitive. Having worked the chest, the lungs, the thyroid and the throat, we now move on to the diaphragm of the foot. To locate the diaphragm, one follows the shape of the ball of the foot, and that is the area that will be stimulated. It's important to slightly turn the foot out, actually in, and then using again the rotating thumb, one works from the outside of the diaphragm to the inside, along that cushion of the ball. The upper body has now been worked and stimulated, and we will move on to the digestive system, bearing in mind with the feet that in the right foot we have the liver and the stomach, and in the left foot we would have the stomach and the spleen pancreas. It's very important, and I haven't mentioned this yet, that both feet need to be worked in a sequence, although this demonstration is for only one foot. Alright, beginning with the digestive system, rotating thumb technique works first, this bit. If you divide this into 4 blocks, we are going to work first, second, third, fourth. First, the liver reflex, rotating thumb. My hand of the working thumb is also supporting the foot from behind. What one can do is create a mental image of 3 finger marks down the foot. That is the area that is first worked before moving on to the next block. This is the stomach that we are now working. From the stomach we move down to the small intestine. Again continuing with the rotating thumb technique, and works that entire area. Here again, if there is a lot of sensitivity in the feet, one can use the finger walk like that, just remembering to support the foot, or one can glide the thumbs across those reflex areas. The idea with reflexology at home is that the foot gets a good stimulation all over. Right. That concludes the reflex stimulation of the digestive system. What remains is the kidney and the bladder, very important for elimination. The kidney is located, if one stretches the foot and you see that tendon pulling, it is that point that we start with. Preferably the foot needs to be relaxed. Working the kidney, we start there and we follow the line down the foot to just inside. We're going to use the rotating thumb technique and follow that kidney through the ureter and into the bladder reflex. For the bladder reflex, one can support the heel in the hand and rotate the thumb on that reflex point. I do 5 or 6 rotations to ensure the bladder gets a good stimulation. Having completed the abdominal section of the body, we move on to the pelvic area. We're going to use the kneading technique, making a fist with your hand and using either the knuckles of your finger or the knuckles on the top of your hand. We simply knead the entire heel area. This can be a very tough area on a lot of people, and so the knuckles really ensure a deep massage. This is usually quite a pleasant experience for the recipient, so you can do it for an extended period. Continuing in working the areas of the reproductive system, we move to the uterus in the woman, prostate in the men. This is located on the inside of the ankle in this area. Please be aware that this is generally quite a sensitive area and shouldn't be worked with too much pressure. So using the rotating thumb technique, supporting the heel in the working hand, one rotates gently on that uterus area. On the opposite side of the ankle, one finds the testes and the ovaries. Again, one supports the heel in the foot of the hand and rotates gently on that area. The groin in the lymph becomes the next reflex point to work. Before we do that, it's good to just circle gently around the ankle bones. That connects the reproductive areas. Using the finger rotation technique, index finger covered by the third finger, and is going to rotate small, tiny circles all the way under the ankle bone, following the natural line across the top of the foot. This too can be a sensitive area, and so shouldn't be worked with unnecessary pressure. The reproductive area has now been stimulated. We now need to stimulate the spine reflex located on the inside of the foot. To do this, we're going to grip the foot with two hands, maintaining the firmness of the right hand. We are going to twist gently with the left hand, moving up the foot as we do so. This is a lovely way to relax the spine, and it can be done 2 or 3 times. Important that just the top hand is the one doing the work. Having relaxed the spine, we will now again return to the rotating thumb technique and work the entire spinal area. Our spine contains our entire nervous system, so a very important part of the foot to give attention to. Up into the neck as our spine goes right into our head, beyond what we can see. Having worked the spine, we now come to the other side of the foot to work the joints. Again, rotating thumb technique all the way up the side of the foot. The hip reflex is located in a round semicircle, right where the bone of the foot is, one of the bones of the feet. That hip area needs to be entirely stimulated. We are just about complete with our sequence, as the body has now been stimulated entirely on its reflex areas. We now just need to relax the foot again, as a way of saying thank you for affording us the opportunity. I enjoy a squeezing technique. I glide the hands from the base of the foot up to the toes, and I squeeze gently as I do that. This can be done 2 or 3 times. We will then knead the ball of the foot again, as we have done previously. From the kneading, we will use our thumbs to glide across the digestive system in alternating strokes. One thumb going above the other. Most recipients really enjoy this relaxation technique, and so if any discomfort is experienced during the treatment, stop at that point and just do this gently for half a minute or so. Finally, we relax the heel by rubbing gently all the way around the edge of the heel. If there is time, one can continue to perform those relaxing techniques that I have shown you. One can stretch the top of the foot again. One can slide off the foot in alternating motions. Very important, once you have massaged both feet, is to ask your clients just to lie gently still. You place your thumb at what is called the solar plexus reflex point. Their foot must be relaxed, and you ask them just to breathe 3 times very deeply while you hold that position gently. And that concludes the foot massage sequence. I trust what I've shown you will bring you endless hours of pleasure and good health.